As you can see, I'm making progress on hiking all 800 some miles of trails in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This time, I chose to head over to the trailhead for Maddron Bald, located between the entrance for Cosby Campground and the entrance for the Greenbrier area. From the trailhead, I plan to take the Maddron Bald Trail for 1.2 miles south, where I would turn right onto the Old Settlers Trail, 3.1 miles west, where I could take a 0.2 mile round trip to see the McCarter place or barn. Then, continuing 5.9 miles west to spend the night at campsite 33. On day 2, I would continue 6.5 miles on the Old Settlers Trail west and then south to reach the trailhead in the Greenbrier area. Well, it is another beautiful day in the Smokies. Late November, or early November I should say, so there's just a little bit of color left. So pretty. This alternate route sure is taking you through some really teeny tiny little dirt roads. Well, I have to admit, this is my first time coming to this trailhead, so it is really in a little tiny road off the middle of nowhere to get to this entrance into the Smokies. Good morning. This is Graybeard for Sylvan Reflections, welcoming you to yet another adventure in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is a new era for me. This is my first hike using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I would have loved the R6 Mark II, but that's a lot more. So this is a phenomenal job. Very, very good for a fraction of the price, and it is far, far smaller, as you can see from the insert that I'll put here. It is beautiful. 1-inch sensor, and it's light enough not to kill me when I'm trying to do longer distances. So I'm very eager to try this out. As you doubtless noticed from my previous videos in the Greenbrier area, my new cell phone, the A30 by Samsung, was very disappointing. So this is going to be much better. This has some really cool features like D-Log M. You can color grade it later. I'm just going to try it standard for right now, and I am going to also try using the wireless mic some. At the moment, I'm just using the built-in mic. So it's time to get started. As you can see, it is a comfortable 53 degrees. Okay. As you can see, a little late start, about 9:40, because I really took time to get set up here. About 1.2 to get Gabe's Mountain. At that point, about 0.7 of a mile to get to Albright. I'm going to maybe heading up and hit that really quick. We'll see. Meanwhile, time to get cracking. The trail, we're only about a quarter mile in, maybe half a mile, but it is beautifully smooth. Obviously just a gravel road that's fairly well maintained by the park, but wow, let me tell you, the vast majority of trails in the park aren't this nice. They're usually a lot more bouldery, and I mean like softball-sized boulders you're slipping and slithering over if you're not tripping over roots. So this is a luxury to be enjoyed. I know it's overcast today, but it's still what you get in terms of color, even with the Christmas ferns. And the moss on the base of the trees, the evergreens. Now that we are here at the tail end of the color loss, here at the end of fall, it's still beautiful, even with these muted lighting. It's never really a bad day if you're in the Smokies.
There was a guy walking his dog, and I talked with him just before I started hiking. He told me that his mother was born in the cabin just up the trail here. If I heard him correctly, she was the last person to be born in the park before it became a park.
There's so much good history that's going to be lost if we don't take note of it. This is a pretty little cabin. Let's go take a quick look here. Sure enough, this is the Baxter cabin, Willis Baxter. I think this is the great grandfather or something like that, the person I talked to. Very cool. 1889. Take a brief look inside here. So typical of so many. Here, we'll bring it up here. Wow. Gotta love the low light performance here. Oh, let's see. You can see very low beamed. You can see I'm almost touching. If I can go like that, I can, touch it. So very low beam and small. You couldn't afford to have a large. It took a lot of materials, took a lot of time, and when it got cold, you didn't want to have to heat up all that stuff. So you wanted a small one that you could all fit in, and that's about it. It was a lot easier to build, maintain, and heat. Speaking of heating, you can see the requisite fireplace. Wow, this is it's pretty dark in here, fairly dark, and this has a low light mode. I'm not even in the low light mode. That is incredible. Very, very cool. Well, we do need to keep moving here. So we are going to continue on the Maddron Bald Trail. Something I meant to mention earlier, another one of the changes for this hike. You notice the towel that I have for, when it gets hot and just want to wipe the sweat off. Used to have a nice, pretty white little towel. I got to thinking, what happens when some hunter thinks he sees a white-tailed deer? That little towel flashes. I figure, why tempt fate? Black towel will work just as well. Wow, my extended battery on this thing is dropped down from 79% at the beginning of the hike. We are just now reaching the Old Settlers Trail, and it's down to 50-some%. So something's not right. It shouldn't be draining that fast. So I'm just holding it without anything except the camera itself. No extended battery, no nothing. I want to see if the other battery starts to drain as fast without the big one. Maybe I need to turn down the brightness. That could be it. So I'll check that out in a moment. But anyway, it is awfully cool here. Here's where we're at. Yep. Boy, do I remember this from the Snake Den Ridge Maddron Bald loop last year before. Sure enough. You can see Trailhead 1.2 miles back. Albright Grove is 1.7. Wow. I don't know that I want to go that far. I'll have to think about that for a second. Wow, Old Settler. Okay, this trail is I'm gonna follow this one. I'm gonna follow it out that direction. So as you can see, there's a trail I'm gonna take. There's the trail I came on. So this one's gonna go out and then veer this way, looks like. But if I turn, here is the Maddron Bald Trail that came down from Snake Den Ridge. Makes a big 4 or 5, big loop up to there. And then over here is the Gabe's Mountain Trail. And yep, that's the one we came up. So We have been on all of these. Time for me to go down the Old Settlers Trail. The guy I talked to at the beginning of the trail, he mentioned that I would be able to see a place where the old trail used to be. So here's what he's talking about. You can see right here, it says Old Settlers Trail. And that is indeed the way I just came down. But if we go back over here from the sign, if you look back beyond it, you can see that's kind of a flat roadbed in the direction people would go. And that the trail used to be that way. Well, we were told, or I was told by the backcountry office, I normally call them before I do a hike, that trails and all the water crossings would indeed be easy and wouldn't require much in the way of rock hopping. As you saw, the crossing was not much. And yeah, I dropped my sticks to make the crossing, but I've now switched over to the wireless mic. So that's going to be, I'm hoping you'll notice a little bit of a increase in audio quality. It's kind of nice because the indication on the top of the screen, whether I'm overmodulating or not, and it's going almost up to full, but not quite to the red yet. So, pretty cool. And it gives me the option with this mic to turn the gain down if I need to. So, this is pretty cool. We'll have to see how well it does. One thing you can always count on here in the Smokies, and that is having streams right beside you anytime you're hiking along, or a lot of the times. And when you're fortunate, bridges across the stream. As I keep saying in all my videos, the Smokies does a fantastic job of those bridges. They're beautiful, aesthetic, and here's another one. I'm sorry, I gotta look at this. That just makes a beautiful postcard almost, doesn't it? Oh, one of the prices you have to pay for hiking in the Smokies. That and the uphills, unfortunately. Well, they said there'd be a rock wall coming up here. Sure enough. Might be a little rock hopping involved, so we'll take a look at this and see how we do. Alright, this is just to show you recording sound from a distance on the wireless mic. And it also has that cool little tracking feature.
But we're not using it on this particular video segment.
That is pretty cool, isn't it? That is a nice wall. I have to admit, I'm not entirely sure all these different piles of stone are for. You can see some there in the distance there. Some more. Quite a few of them around here. I'm wondering, is that maybe leftovers of another wall? Foundations for a house? Something like that? Interesting.
These rock walls were everywhere, and they just went on and on.
Oh, looky here. We have some more of these beautiful, beautiful ground cedar. Those flat little scales. Pretty cool club mosses. And here you can see the reproductive structures themselves. Very, very cool. Okay, we're just a little bit off to the right of the trail here. And we have this rock pile. I'm assuming it's from a former house or something, with a lot of other stuff piled around it. That blue pot got my attention, so I came over here to see. Anyway, interesting. Oh well, let's get back down to the trail. You see that really cool blue fungus.
While I've seen this many times in the Smokies, I've never been 100% certain on the identification, but the more I think about it, I believe it's the green elf cup, Chlorsiboria ruginescens. Please let me know in the comments if I've missed something here.
Okay, we're about 50 to 75 feet off the trail. Probably about a mile and a half, maybe mile and a half in. And this is just a really nice square stack. I'm wondering if this is maybe a chimney or something. I can't get high enough to see. Let's see. No, it looks like it's just a big pile. Interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, I thought it was worth a quick look. We'll head back right up to the trail. Ooh! There we go. Nothing like some beautiful little partridge berries. Meanwhile, we'll just keep heading along the old settlers trail. So many people complain about the green tunnel when hiking through the Smokies. Yeah, I get it. You want to see some views, and you certainly can. But there's some nice things about the green tunnel too. I think it's really beautiful. We're finally getting a little bit of a view, thanks to the wonders of fall. You can see we've been going up that draw. We're now up on a little ridge, working our way probably to join that ridge over there as we're heading along. Unfortunately, we are back to the roots and moreover the slippery leaf-covered roots that make slipping and sliding so much fun on the trail. But if you got this to look at with that with the mist going through and shrouding the different parts of the forest, what's a few roots?
Everywhere I looked, I saw the last faded remnants of what was once a bright and brilliant fall. As I listened to the endless murmur of the small streams and passed through the rhododendron as they reached overtop the trail to intermingle their branches, and observed the emerald leaves of the striped wintergreen with the jagged nature of its central contrasting white lines. What a beautiful vision of Sylvan extravagance.
Another rock wall, about 3/10 of a mile before the first time we get close to the park boundary. Just met some really nice people, retired teachers, tutors and things like that. Wonderful people. I have just come to this really cool section of wall. Isn't that awesome? Look at this. You can see just the breach in the wall right here that we're passing through, but you can see this goes on and on and on. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we're about 2.5 miles from the first time we get close to the park boundary. But we're going to keep on keeping on. Here we go. Something of interest. They're just reminding us which way the trail goes because we must cross over here or something. They don't want us to miss that. Okay, so let's get a little closer. You can read this. The McCarter barn. 600 feet? That's worth taking a look at. Let's go take a look. We'll head that way and see what's up. Okay, we've just gone down that spur away from Old Settlers Trail, heading towards the park boundary, and we've encountered this, what looks like a big road. This is, they call it an alleyway, and in about another tenth of a mile or so, couple tenths of a mile, 2/10 of a mile, that'll take you to the 321. But you go this way, and there's the barn. There we go. We'll be there in just a moment. Okay, and here's the barn. Actually, not bad. Given how old it is, nice little lean-to area. You can put equipment under there. Those nice big open slats. You can put stuff to dry out. Yeah, it looks like it's fairly structurally sound. And I will not get tired of all these cool rock walls. Oh, love those. Oh, neat, neat, neat. I am assuming this is like for storing corn or other stuff you need to dry out. Wow, I'm not even using low light mode, and look what it's doing. Man, that's good. Oh, neat, 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 neat. Yes, Tyson McCarter place, right? Built around 1876. Okay. Yes, here's some more storage. You can see inside there. I guess using that to climb to higher levels to the roof, or I guess they had some storage up here, maybe. Oh, look at this. The pin. Look at this. You can see the wooden dowel that this is on. Oh, sweet, 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 sweet. Oh, it really opens up there at top. Neat. Similar building over here. Wow. There was a drop there, didn't see. You can see in this one here. Similar room over here to dry out or store. Pioneer version of a picture window, right?
Take note of this wall. It will be significant later. From the McCarter barn, shown here as a little red spur on the blue trail, I continued westward for a while and stopped here to look at some interesting ruins.
Well, I got a little winded, thought it'd be time to take a break. And I saw some more rocks piled up. This looks like a little more than just a standard wall. I'm assuming foundation or a corner of somebody's house. I thought it looked interesting, so we'll take a quick look. That is a pretty substantial pile of stones. And if we go over here, I think we have, fireplace? Yeah, you can see that. Assuming the bucket was, I don't know if it's original or not, but yeah, that looks like it was the chimney at some point. I just discovered something new about my Garmin 66i. I knew there had to be a way, but I never had the time. I just figured out how to find how much longer along the trail to get there.
At least that's what I think it's doing, and not just giving me distance as the crow flies.
I knew there had to be a way to do that. Oh, how cool. Oh, cool.
As you can see, at that point, I was only 2 miles from campsite 33. So after exploring a little more off-trail, I returned to the Old Settlers Trail and started hiking again. Beautiful, the way the stone walls with their regular splash of Christmas ferns line both sides of the trail. It must have taken many thousands of hours to set up all the rock walls that I've saw along the Old Settlers Trail.
That is awesome. I'll just take you across with me for this one. Okay.
Now, at this point, I've been heading back eastward in the direction I came from for about 3.9 miles to the spur heading to the McCarter barn. Basically, there was something I just had to figure out. After satisfying my curiosity on a couple things, I then returned the 3.9 miles westward, that's about 2.3 miles from camp, stopping to view these ruins.
We have another chimney or whatever it was off to the right here. Man, there was a lot of houses along this section. Probably about 2.3 miles from the campsite. Yeah, just still more trail to go.
So, I continued the 2.3 miles to campsite 33, enjoying the wide variety of beauty that the Smokies was kind enough to share with me. The tumbling stream, with its placid pools, is an iconic feature of the Smoky Mountain trails. Its modest yet cheerful babble, an endless succession of gentle movements, makes it a presence, a voice that calms the mind and lightens the spirit.
As you can see, we're doing a bit of night hike, and I'm not bothering with the wireless mic, but yet another chimney. Bowls or whatever it is seem to be fairly common. Well, it's going to be a little bit more night hike. Probably got about 1.25 miles to go, and I'm going pretty slow. Probably about an hour before we get there. 50 minutes to an hour, 45 maybe. I'm just going to go easy. No reason to rush it. Since the sun's down, it's down, so may as well relax the pace a little. I don't know. Do you think you can tell that we are near the border of the park on this trail? Guarantee you that ain't campfires. It's a lot of houses on that hill over there. It's about maybe 1/2 mile to 1 mile to them. Time for me to get on with my hike. What's right here? Yep, that's where I turn it on. All right, let's continue. Yeah, this is what we've been looking for. Wow, those rocks are everywhere. 33. Okay, so this time to set up home.
It was the end of a long day. The 3.9 miles backtracking to and then returning from the McCarter barn turned a planned 10.4 mile day into an 18.2 mile day. But it afforded me the opportunity to indulge in even more of the Smokies' charm.
Morning. It's just after 6, and turns out I've got the whole campsite to myself. Got here, about hour-ish after dark. There's enough sites here for some tent camping and plenty of trees for hammock camping, so that works out well. I was surprised. I actually slept fairly well. This was actually a lot better than I expected. Only got down to about 44 degrees. I got a little app which goes to Bluetooth to a little data logger. It was like 54, 55 yesterday when I started, and only dipped down to 44. Now it's 48. I think I'm gonna go ahead and set up, get something nice and warm to drink. Enjoy one of my breakfast items that I brought with me from home. I mean, the rehydrated stuff's fine, but this stuff is good, even better. We'll get going here, see what we can do. There's a beautiful little fire ring, but they won't let me have a fire. There's a fire ban in the state right now because of the dry or drought conditions. So, oh well, maybe next time. Meanwhile, I'm just setting up shop here for breakfast, but in case I tear it down before I remember, here's a hammock setup right up nice and close. A little lower than I normally set it up, but I was tired and I realized, I'm still a couple feet off the ground. That's good enough. But it's comfy as can be. Nice insulated, 800 fill down. It keeps you fairly warm, actually. Pretty warm. Okay.
It was time to get on with breakfast preparations. So, after getting the stove out, setting it up and lighting it, I got the water heating and made a few other adjustments. While not always the case, I find that usually the pre-dawn breakfast can be a time unparalleled for its clarity and introspection. Unlike the other times of the day, there is just less in the way of interruptions and concerns about the day's events.
So I'll just get things going. This should be ready in no time. And we'll have a nice little patty sausage biscuit or English muffin sandwich with tomatoes. And yes, that's a veggie patty sausage. Still tastes good. And I have boiled egg with some salt in the container there. Should make a much more satisfying meal than just oatmeal alone. So, at least we're off to a good start. Well, about 7:15, 7:20, I really took my time at breakfast. I was relaxed. I was enjoying it. And let me tell you, those boiled eggs are good. I think I'll just pack 4 of those for breakfast next time. Especially when you're just doing an overnight, single night. You can carry a few extra luxuries just for fun of it. But it's nice and light. I'm ready, all set and ready to go. And it is a rather nice little campsite. Not as flat as some, but perfectly good enough. And if you hammock camp, doesn't need to be flat. But time to get going here. But one last look. So let's come back around. Okay. If we go over here, you can see the bear cables right there. You can see the trail marker there, right in front of the tree. Little campfire, or there would be a campfire ring if it were allowed. And then goes right down into a ravine with a good-sized creek. Just heads all the way on down here. So could have gotten water from there if I needed to, but 1.5 liters, that'll get me more than enough to get me downhill in this cool weather. So, time to hit the trail. Well, we're a little over 1/10 of a mile from the campsite, and I see we have a marker telling us that the trail goes left and right. They tend to stick those whenever there is like a roadbed of some kind. So that makes you think there's something down there. Let's go check it out.
I believe this is the Martha McCarter Manway. As I mentioned in the video of my Injun Creek Manway hike, a Manway in the Smokies, at least as I understand it, is a trail that is not on the official trail map and can be anywhere from almost non-existent to well-maintained. Often, they are leftover trails or roads of the settlers from before the Smoky Mountains became a national park.
I took it to see where it went, and it's got all these blue hashes, but it does not list it as a trail. It's not on the trail map, not on my GPS, or on Gaia GPS app that I've got. As you can see, it leads down, I believe what it is the old roadway that went down, trail/roadway, that went down to the old houses that used to be in this part of the park. You can see the stone wall here, and it goes on just a little bit further here. So, okay, mystery explained. Just like most of the flat roadbed looking things that lead off the trail, it used to go to somebody's house before it was the park. Wow. These stone walls really are a testament to those who came before us. I mean, they didn't have machinery like we have today. You had to pick up each and every stone. Even when these behemoths, and this is, you can see, this is pretty good size. When they land on it, for the most part, the thing's pretty resilient. Imagine one of those things crashing on you. You have to be pretty solid to withstand that. That's truly impressive. Oh well, it is time to head back on up. And sadly, for me to face all the altitude I lost getting down here, the price you pay for satisfying your curiosity.
So, after a little hiking, I returned back to the Old Settlers Trail.
By the way, that was Brandywine Creek that we were next to for that manway going by the houses or ruins.
About 1.2 miles along the Old Settlers Trail for Campsite 33, I came upon the rustic stone remains of yet another settler's cabin. I was intrigued by the chimney. Couldn't help but think what it must have been like to have only the cabin and a stone fireplace to protect me from the elements. I also thought how cool it would be to camp right there and imagine life from the settler's perspective. But of course, that is something the park's regulations wouldn't allow, as evidenced by the park's ever so subtle reminders. However, it turned out to be a great place to drink some water and take a quick rest break.
Blowdowns are all too common. In a natural forest, it gets to maturity, and then trees only live for so long, and then they die and fall over. In a managed forest, they go and look for and help remove trees that are reaching that point, and you don't have nearly as much problem with blowdowns. But since this is meant to be kept in its natural state, we're going to have blowdowns to deal with, that's all.
Right about here, I began to appreciate that the overgrowth seemed a bit excessive for an official trail in the park.
Okay, we have some serious overgrowth here. I know that they are overworked, but boy, do they need to do a little maintenance on this trail.
As we will shortly discover, I was ever so slightly, entirely wrong about this section of the trail needing some more maintenance.
I'm having to go off trail because I can't even get through where the trail is. Okay, trail, then come back to the trail over here. Probably have to go off trail again. Wow, you have to watch really close on these trails, especially this Old Settlers Trail. There's a couple places where, unless you're just hard scrutinizing, it's easy to walk off.
Basically, when I got up from my rest at the off-trail chimney location, I was just too lazy to double-check with my GPS, and ended up hiking about 0.2 miles north off the trail on some pre-park road or path. Upon realizing my mistake, I hiked about 0.3 miles at an angle to catch the actual Old Settlers Trail, whereupon I repeated my mistake by being so lazy as to not verify my direction with the GPS. Thus, I went the wrong direction for 1.2 miles on the Old Settlers Trail, arriving back at my campsite. At this point, after taking a moment to grumble at my stupidity, I turned around and continued west on the Old Settlers Trail about 2 miles before taking a moment to rest at the stone ruins of another cabin before continuing on the remaining 4.5 miles.
It has finally come to a little knoll here. I think we're about 3.5 from the end of the trail. The rhododendron isn't really thick in this area yet, so it's just the deciduous. So now you can actually see around us. Here, I'll show you. You can begin to see the mountains out and around you. So it's time to keep heading down the trail. Well, I just finished a nice little rehydration and rest break. I only have 3 half-liter water bottles with me, so every time I come by a stream, I just stop, refill the bottles, and go on. Well, we got about a mile left to go, and I saw this on the tree, and I thought it was interesting. You can see some nice fresh wood, or not fresh, but woodpecker activity. If you come on up the tree, here's another set, and another, and another, and another. Time to head on down the trail. Last little remnants of fall color. Don't know if you can see it, but that's the first look of the river below us, where the trail's gonna intersect that right at the road. Well, that's the end of the hike. I am so happy to have that done, and to see all those ruins, all those stone walls and chimneys is really incredible. It brings to life the history that you hear about. Now that I'm here at Greenbrier, I'm gonna have to catch or hitch a ride, because it just wasn't feasible for any of my family members to be able to drive out to haul me back over to my car. And that's about a 15-minute ride from here. So I'm going to start heading on up the road in a moment, and then I guess start thumbing it. Well, I was walking up from the Old Settlers trailhead there in the Greenbrier area. Didn't even have cell signal. So I was hoofing it on back, and I was about, maybe a mile and a half on the way back up towards the entrance. And this guy, retired electrical engineer, pulled over and said, "Hey, no problem, I'll give you a ride." I told him where the car was. Said, "That's not a problem." So there really are some nice people, and it just warms your heart, not to mention saving your feet, to not have to hike another 15 or 12 miles after you're done with the hike. This is Graybeard for the Sylvan Reflections channel. Thank you so much for joining us. See you on the next hike.
If you like this video, please consider clicking the like, subscribe, and notification bell.